Dear students, good evening. Welcome to Excellence IAS. Let us do the editorial analysis for today, that is 31st October 2022. Before going into this, I have a small announcement to you. I'll be doing the videos regularly, Monday to Friday. Saturday, I may be out of town sometimes, so I'll be doing that on coming Monday. Sunday is the day I normally take a day off from this particular work. United against terror. This is the first article today. Here you need to understand what are the factors today which are becoming the reasons for rise in terror in India. In this case, what steps have to be taken? What are the recent issues which we are seeing in fight against the terror? We need to understand. So you can use +1 advantage, that is UN Security Council Counter-Terrorism Committee. The particular meeting was held in Mumbai. Mumbai hosted that. In this case, India is also hosting another anti-terror meeting or conference that is called No Money for Terror. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, he made a statement, terrorism remains gravest threat to humanity. So you can use these 3 points to extend your answer further. So whenever a question comes on terrorism, you can talk about the highlights of UN Security Council Counter-Terrorism Committee. To that extent, no money for terror and what are the decisions taken over there. And you can conclude your answer with External Affairs Minister's statement, that is, terrorism remains gravest threat to humanity. So what are the issues in rise of terror? One is online radicalization is growing. So if you can see, the recruitments to ISIS or to that matter, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, these are happening through online radicalization. Second, the terror financing is finding the new ways, that is cryptocurrency and virtual assets. Governments have little or no regulation on them. So that's why use of them, the dark web, is growing. And added to that, the terror strikes, previously we saw lone strikes, lone wolf strikes we called as. What are these lone wolf strikes? It means that a person randomly going into the people and opening the fire or killing the people, London attacks, Paris attacks, all these are described as lone wolf attacks. Now, drones, UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, these are becoming the instruments for terror attack. And drugs and arms trade are intricately connected with terrorism. So, one more point I have added is the fight against terror, it has to be collective fight. Second thing is, terrorists are no friends of anyone. So in this case, state-sponsored terrorism or state protection to the terrorists, these are dangerous. In this case, UN Security Council 1267 terror list, in that Lashkar-e-Toiba is being referred by India. China is obstructing to this from time to time. So these kind of actions shall be stopped. The state shall be responsible in their fight against terrorism, that is the point. The extra-constitutional delusions of Raj Bhavan. So what is this article is about? Remember, doctrine of pleasure. You see this doctrine of pleasure in the case of Union Council of Ministers and also State Council of Ministers, All India Service and Central Service Officers, everywhere we see this. In this case, the extra-constitutional delusions of Raj Bhavan are in the news due to Muhammad Ali, Arif Muhammad Ali of Kerala, the governor of Kerala, and his extra-constitutional recommendations we need to take into consideration. The first is, the governor is a chancellor of the universities in a given state. So, this responsibility comes to him as a statutory function, a function safeguarded by law. And second, Article 164 of the Constitution has to be read along with Article 163. Let us try to understand this. Article 164 states that the ministers enjoy their office during the pleasure of the governor. But remember, this pleasure works on the aid and advice of the chief minister. So the chief minister and council of ministers has to aid and advise the governor in his day-to-day functions. So Article 163 is also a vague to an extent that the governor of the state shall act on the aid and advice of the council of ministers or otherwise. So this otherwise is specified to only certain circumstances. And next point is, let us understand how the Supreme Court has dealt this particular matter in Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab case. So they have taken the words of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, which clearly stated in the context of Union of India, that is, the President of India cannot do anything contrary to the advice of Council of Ministers, nor he can do anything without their advice. It means he cannot act without their advice or he cannot reject their advice. That is the basic spirit on which you have to understand the relationship between constitutional authority and head of the government. So that we need to keep in mind. Next is a bird in the hand. So this is about Twitter. You know Elon Musk bought the Twitter. What are the issues which we are saying? So there are two arguments with regard to social media. We shall allow for the free speech. So more speech is the answer to the questions of hate speech or misuse of the freedom right to speech. On the other side, the hate speech online has to be curtailed with the government regulation. So when we see these two dimensions, little regulation or no regulation, or government regulation, Mr. Musk always talks about more speech, more freedom of speech is the answer to the hate speech, and there shall be no regulation. So he even opposed Twitter banning the former president, Mr. Trump, and his provocative speeches. In this context, what will be the direction of the Twitter is a bit concern. Added to that, what are the problems of social media as a whole today? Disinformation, online bullying or trolling, hate speech, call for violence online. All these are the challenges which we are seeing today. The next article, a checkover of the US much anticipated NSS. So NSS means National Security Strategy. The President of the United States is expected to submit this to the Congress. So we don't need to get into all this. Remember NSS, National Security Strategy of USA. You can quote this as part of your answer as +1 advantage. What it has clearly stated with regard to India. India is going to be a trusted partner for United States of America, a defense partner and also a democracy partner. And in this case, the India's integration into global forums is suggested in this strategy paper. The global forums like G7. So, US importance to India is increasing and US has considered China as the primary opponent in changing the existing global order. So any threat to the existing global order or anyone who has the competence to change the existing international order, China is the one. So obviously, more than Russia, US has focused on China. The strategy clearly says that. Thank you very much. Have a great day.